start our Board of Commissioners meeting for December the 12th at 1:30 p.m. We'll officially call the meeting to order. I will do the invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance will be done by our Madam Clerk, Rachel Sanchez. So, Ottawa County seeks to be a welcoming place where you belong. Recognizing that we are a county of many different faiths and traditions, our invocation today is offered from one of those perspectives. Will you pray with me? We gather here as members of the board, and we thank you for calling us together. It is our privilege and our responsibility to support, foster, and advance the mission of Ottawa County. We accept this task and ask that you guide us and send your spirit upon us. Give us wisdom to discern what is right and good and just. At this festive holiday time, we pray that you would be with us in all that we do and all that we plan. Protect those of us who will travel during the holidays. Please also protect those who are serving in the military. Watch over our police, fire, and first responders. And today, we particularly want to ask that you bless the holiday celebrations that we will be participating in. Let's not forget those who are alone, and we pray that they will receive God's love during this holiday season. We pray that your love shines during this time and that we reflect you in our actions, attitudes, and behaviors. We ask and we pray that we are unified and united together in love and fellowship in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Will you stand, please?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Garcia,
Here.
Mr. Baumann,
Here.
Mr. Zylstra,
Here.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Methelink,
Here.
Mr. Terpstra,
Here.
Mr. Holtzlord,
Present.
Mr. DeYoung,
Here.
Mr. Kyers,
Here.
Mr. Bergman,
Here.
Mr. Fenske.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, we have presentations of petitions and communications. And first up is our friend from GCSI, Mr. Bob DeVries. Welcome, Bob.
Well, thanks for having me. Good afternoon. Not a ton to update. The legislature met for a 2-day long lame duck session, which is by far the shortest that I've ever seen in my time in Lansing. But we were able to get a couple of things done. And more importantly, we were able to stop some of the things that we've been kind of fighting against for the year. But the legislature is out for the year. And so we're safe until January, at least, when the new group takes over. But as far as starting with the things that we stopped, we were able to put a stop to the dangerous community mental health stuff that we've been working on for a long time. The Senate actually made an attempt to pass it out of the Senate, and they came up short. They came up with 17 votes when he needed 20. It seemed a little bit like a desperate move at the last minute. Senator Shirkey was just hoping that he was going to be able to, pull his deal together, and thankfully enough people kind of stood strong and did what they said they were going to do, and we were able to stop that into the second to last week of session. We were also able to keep the short-term rental bill that you guys have opposed all along in the Senate. It had passed the House, and we were able to keep it in the Senate despite some efforts from the proponents to push that through. But the one thing we were able to kind of check the box off of was the final vote on the wastewater pipeline to the Coopersville Cottonelle Dairy and those businesses that needed the wastewater pipeline from Coopersville to Muskegon was finally funded. And so if you recall, the last meeting talked about how the governor had approved it. It needed one more vote from the House and the Senate Appropriations Committees just to do something called a legislative transfer, move money from one pot to another. But that's done and it's approved, and the money should be flowing as soon as they need it. So it's kind of clearing the decks for everything we've worked on for this 2-year session. Happy to answer questions. I mean, in January, it'll be very different with Democrats having now control of the House and the Senate and the governor's office. But the majorities are so thin. It's 56 to 54 in the House, 20 to 18 in the Senate, that it's going to be a challenge, I think, for the Democrats to do anything controversial. I think we're going to see a lot of fairly middle of the road policies moving forward. But happy to answer any questions.
Gentlemen, questions for Mr. DeVries?
A statement on the last 3 months, Bob. I've heard a lot, and I heard it at Representative Heisinger's breakfast yesterday morning, and saying, why don't we have part-time legislators in the state of Michigan? Because they haven't worked since August. I can't answer.
So maybe we do. Maybe what you're saying is that we do. I mean, I think that the traditional argument against that is that it creates conflict of interests. I mean, what type of person can manage to, like, in the states that have part-time legislators, they have a full-time job, January through April. And then they got to go, and they get paid $20,000 or something like that for those 4 months. And they got to go find something else to do the rest of the year. And so it really limits the types of people that are able to run for office. And in Michigan, they get paid $70,000 a year, and they do what they do. And so I think that, at least to this point, people have found that to be a better governing structure, knowing that mostly these people are doing only their job and not having to balance their priorities among many things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Bob? Thank you for another year of informing us of what's going on in Lansing, and it's been wonderful working with you, and I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next, Robin Afric will come up and read a letter. Or
Good afternoon, Board of Commissioners. I just received actually a letter from Grand Valley State University, and it's in recognition of Chairman Matt Fenske, and I thought it'd be appropriate to read it here today. So it says, "Dear Commissioners and Ottawa County staff, creating belonging in a community involves the recognition of all the aspects that make up one's identity. Religious, spiritual, or secular identities are critical components of people's wellness and being. In the process of promoting interfaith inclusion along the lakeshore, the Kaufman Interfaith Institute saw firsthand the growing number of people of diverse worldviews that reside in Ottawa County. Ensuring that everyone finds a sense of belonging in a community that they call home is only possible through overt acts of inclusion that make people feel seen and welcome. People often look to leaders, such as elected officials, to model how to be inclusive. So on behalf of the Kaufman Interfaith Institute at Grand Valley State University, we would like to recognize Commissioner Matt Fenske for his efforts to broaden the scope of the invocations offered prior to the start of Ottawa County Board of Commissioner meetings. Focusing on the commonly shared values that people of all backgrounds hold sacred was a powerful step that created belonging in our community. It's an honor to appreciate this pioneering effort, and we hope that we can continue to build a community in which people of all beliefs and backgrounds feel belonging in our county. With deep appreciation, this is signed by Zahabi Ahmed Usmani, who is the program manager at the Kaufman Faith Institute, and Kyle Coyers, who is the associate director of the Kaufman Interfaith Institute. So I just want to make sure you had that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I have my board chair comments. This will be my last board chair comments, but I thought nevertheless, there's some things to say. First, I would like to thank all the local businesses and owners of businesses who have sent numerous emails to me, thanking the board for their hard work, time, and energy and thoughtful approach in distributing the ARPA funds. They all agreed that the vetted choices that were funded will benefit the county in years to come, and their impact will be transformational. One of the transformational areas under human needs was affordable housing. And as you know, Ottawa County funded the Affordable Housing Revolving Loan Fund with $10 million a couple weeks ago of ARPA funds. This long-term fund supports new development and rehabilitation projects with lower interest rates and savings that are passed on to future residents. 1 week later, our neighboring county, Kent County, invested $17,500,000 from their ARPA funds for their revolving housing fund. Both counties' funding will directly impact the affording housing dilemma in West Michigan and aid in the number of projects for generations to come. The county's ARPA funds that funded childcare development in facilities is already in motion with the announcement of the partnership on December the 2nd of the Outdoor Discovery Center and Gentex to build on-site daycare and preschool. Co-sponsored projects such as this are designed to help multiple employers and employees in our county by reducing the local gap in childcare capacity. This has been a critical need for our employees to access convenient, cost-effective childcare, and the ARPA funds will support this sustainable need. Next, we're gonna approve the agenda, but there's a number of things that need to be amended in order for public comment. Yep, public comment. Then we'll approve the agenda.
So we have John Nash of Spring Lake Township.
John. Our supervisor that put on good Christmas parties for townships.
Thank you, Frank. I'd have to say I came for a number of reasons, but hearing some of the announcements, I added a couple. Number one, Spring Lake Township is ecstatic that our state legislators weren't able to determine local zoning through short-term rentals. They feel we have a very, very good policy, and we would like them to stay in Lansing with their ideas. Bluntly, huh? And the reason I came primarily was the ARPA funds. It seems like all of us in government had to deal with how we're going to deal with them, and being kind of aware of what's going on around. I look at some government bodies that really blew that one. But I think, in my opinion, the way you formed the buckets and the way you distributed the money in the end was fantastic. And again, just hearing a little bit previously, being a 40-year educator, in my mind, there's absolutely no better way to invest money than help with early childhood. Because if every kid gets to be 5 or 6 and they're even, it will make a light year difference. Thank you very much. Have a good holiday.
Thanks, John.
Patricia Kingsley, Georgetown Township.
Hi, Patricia.
Hi, and I'm wondering what the status is of the grievances that I left with you. 11/22. What's the status?
I can just say that they were disseminated to the county commissioners.
And that
Their
were
documents, that's,
the documents, and that will take how long? A month, 2 months?
I can't really get into a back and forth dialogue, but I
Have you
wanted to
started
know that.
anything in regard to it?
If you stick around afterwards, I can.
I mean, have you had a meeting? All you commissioners?
To talk about that? No,
You have not.
just like that.
So when will the first one be?
After the first.
I would imagine that would be something that John would have to talk to us about.
And John,
John, you know what she's talking about, right?
Mr. Shea,
Yeah,
you're John.
Yeah, he does not.
Mrs. Kinsley, we really can't get into a back and forth.
I know, but I wanted to know because I figured, I have to keep up on what's going on. And I do have addendum that goes with the grievance with Justin Roebuck. Rachel Santos, and Kyle. This is to be put with the 3 grievances against them.
Okay.
So you want me to leave this
You can
here?
leave them with
Okay.
Madison.
So will you notify me when you have your first meeting in regard?
Yes.
By phone, letter? You don't know?
We'll probably by phone.
So who handles the grievance to start with? All of you?
It's collectively the commissioners. So
Okay,
thank you.
okay, thank you. Oh, and it has to be, you start with them first for a review, I understand, correct?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Jeremy Bosch Holland.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I was here before, in March of last year when my son passed. To speak to you about Ottawa County front of the court. I am pretty sure everyone in Ottawa County knows about them. There's a lot of bad things and a lot of good things. However, on their website, their department overview is to administer justice and restore wholeness in a manner that inspires public trust. I would like to speak to you all. I spoke with Susan Franklin before. When I'm in court with Judge Engel, I'm not able to speak. I'm not able to show exhibits. I'm told there's a court app that they are able to see messages between me and the other individual. However, I'm threatened every time I go to court that if I say something out of line, it would be used against me. However, just recently, I was falsely accused and proven to Judge Engel of child abuse. That is a crime. However, when I spoke to him, I have to spend so much money on transcripts to prove to him he's not listening. He sits there bored. I will tell him that, as an example, the sky is blue. He would accuse me of being paranoid. I do have a history of mental illness. I have suffered a mental breakdown after the loss of an army buddy. Since then, they've been using that against me in court. Pete Armstrong has been going through separate hoops to protect the other individual, to ignore me, and has even blocked me from communications and maintains communication with the other individual, ultimately putting my child in harm's way during my parenting time. When I explained that to him, sent the video to him as I recorded it, instead of reporting it to CPS as a mandated reporter, he went straight to her, the other individual, to let them know that I have that video. Pete Armstrong has been attempting to testify in court against me. I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and depression. However, he feels it's appropriate for him to put in his own words against me. I just asked for an investigation. Thank you.
Jeff Anderson, he works in Ottawa County.
Gentlemen, ladies, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Anderson. I will admit that I'm a former lifelong Ottawa County resident turned Kent County turncoat, so I apologize in advance.
Al Vandenberg, huh?
Yeah. So initial on the personal side, I appreciate all that you all have done for the military members of this community. So I just wrapped up 20 years of service there as a Allendale and Robinson Township resident. So all the accommodations that you all have made and the voting assistance and not having to pull jury duty from Afghanistan, those things are all greatly appreciated. Now what brings me here today, but still something I think you all should know. Today I come as a physician assistant. So I'm a medical provider specializing and specifically working primary care in rural communities. I work with a new company called Homeward Health. And we are focused purely on bridging the gap and closing gaps in care in the 65+ population, Medicare patients currently, because there's a 23% higher mortality rate if you're over 65 just because you live in a rural community. If you take somebody from downtown Grand Rapids and somebody from Borculo, that statistic will be present purely because of the location that they live. And so we are just trying to get it known so that in the event any of your colleagues or personnel that you represent or in any of your engagements, you find that you have members who are of the community who need care, who are unable to get care because of transportation, because of their location, and they are Medicare patients, that Homeward Health will come to them. We have partnerships with Priority Health and other agencies that we're not exclusive to only taking care of Priority Health patients. We'll come into the home, we'll do the care, we'll leverage technology and make sure that that gets resolved. In fact, I'm going to leave here momentarily and I will be driving to the surrounding communities, and I myself will be going into homes, doing exams, setting up in-home nursing, those services that people desperately need. I have an Ottawa County resident who hasn't left her home in over 2 years for anything at all. And so we're working to really try and get her back to be able to do that. So just ask that you keep that in mind if in your conversations and your crossings, you know anybody that leverages that. We would greatly appreciate that so that we can kind of keep the citizens, especially our senior, more experienced population, keep them active in the community and get everything back to them that they need. So thank you very much.
Do you work with any of the American Legions in the areas?
I do on a personal level as a member of the Legion. We're working at the kind of as an organizational level, connecting at some of those, but we have not made any formal partnerships there yet.
Thank you so much for
Yes,
your
sir.
service.
Good. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
And that is all, sorry.
Oh, okay. Now we will do approve the agenda with some amendments. The first is we want to add under action item from administration, a number 2, which will be the resolution to appoint new administrative health officer. Another one that needs to be amended, which is under finance and administration committee, number 12, the road commission memorandum of understanding. Remove number 12.
Remove it.
Remove it. And finally, under our board appointments, this one is number 27, Veterans Affairs Committee. You need to add Dave Ziegler, Ziegler, as well as Nick Knebel, Knebl.
I know you spell that, John.
Yeah. Okay,
I think I have that spelling right.
so let me be clear. We are adding 2 names to number 27.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes,
And would you repeat those names again?
Dave Ziegler, Ziegler, and Nick Knebel, Knebl. So those should be 4 in that category. Under a Veterans Affairs Committee.
But still, the 2 asterisks remain the same.
All 4 should have asterisks.
All 4.
Okay, yes.
Right, if I can just add that the new additions are actually on the current board of veterans already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we potentially are filling 2 positions or 4?
You were filling 2
2
positions.
positions.
All right. Yeah. Good.
And that should be the end of the amendments. Is there any
I'll support that.
make the motion to accept the agenda with the amendments? And Mr. Methalink is going to be supporting that. Excellent. Will you call the roll, please?
Sure will. Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Holtboer,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Consent resolutions from our Commissioner Dannenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion for the last time for consent resolutions 1, 2 through 3.
Second.
There's a motion by Dannenberg and a second by Bergman. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Holtboer,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Action items from administration. The Honorable Commissioner Bergman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make the following motion to approve and authorize the board chairperson and her clerk register to sign the resolution of support for the establishment of a commercial rehabilitation district, PA 210 of 2005 in the city of Grand Haven. Forward.
Motion by Bergman, support by Kyers. Discussion item, gentlemen? Comments? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Holtboer,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes.
Motion passes.
The second item from administration will be read by Commissioner Kyers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make the motion to approve and authorize the board chairperson and clerk treasurer to sign a resolution to appoint Adeline Hamble as the county administrative health officer contingent upon approval by the Board of Commissioners, confirmation by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services that she has recorded educational certificates and work background and successfully passing the county's background check process.
Second.
Motion by Kyers, second by Bergman. Would you like to kind of bring us up to speed how we got here today?
Yep, so as you know, Lisa's retiring as of the end of March. And as we had discussed before, we opened up the search for replacement for Lisa. That if we hired a new health officer, that person would start before Lisa. Lisa would remain on till March 31st in an administrative capacity to smooth that transition. And so HR initiated the interview process, collected the applications, and a panel of 5 people interviewed 3 candidates or 3 finalists, if you will, for the position. 2 were external and 1 was internal. And it was the unanimous recommendation of the interview panel to recommend to the board to hire Addie as the new health officer. She's currently our environmental health manager, so she oversees our food inspection program, our well and septic programs, as well as our sustainability centers, our recycling centers. She's been in that position since 2011, and before that, she was the environmental health supervisor. So she's got budgeting experience, supervisory experience, obviously principally on the environmental health side. But we felt that she also had the right, I guess, enforcement philosophy in terms of trying to work with the people. So if you talk to, like the restaurant and food inspection program, even if we note deficiencies, that we try to work with the restaurants to get those corrected versus issuing a citation right off the bat, so to speak. And so thought that she had the right philosophy to try to whether it's on environmental health or the public health side, to work with the community first and do as much as they can before going into any type of enforcement action. So that's the recommendation. State law does require that the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services review any health officer's educational credentials and background. And it's got to follow certain standards in the Michigan Public Health Code. So that's why it is contingent upon state approval for that as well.
I'm assuming that she accepted the position.
She did.
Gentlemen, questions? Comments?
Perfect. I'd like to see that we promote it from within. That's great. Awesome.
I've had a number of townships, residents that have dealt with her, and it's all been very positive. Good follow through. And good communication skills. Okay. Will you call a roll, please?
Sure will. Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Holtfloor,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Bauman,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you. Moving right into Planning and Policy Committee, Commissioner DeYoung.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regarding the Ottawa County Parks Foundation, I move to approve and authorize the board chairperson and the clerk register to sign the grant agreement with the Ottawa County Parks Foundation for park staff and support. Support.
The motion and support. There's our director, Jason.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So this is a grant agreement with our Parks Foundation. The Parks Foundation was created in 2016 in conjunction with the Green River Greenway. Since its inception, it has raised $10 million. And in the last 3 years, about 5 million. So this grant agreement, a large part of that work has been done by park staff and developing the campaign materials, meeting with the supporters and donors. So this grant agreement really allows us to augment that staff and continue to work through our foundation.
Gentlemen? Questions? I know that they're a real valuable asset to Parks Department, that's for sure. Seeing if there isn't any further discussion, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Holtfloor,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Bauman,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes.
motion passes.
Regarding the Kirk Park Spark Grant, I move to approve and authorize the board chairperson clerk register to sign the resolution approving the grant application to the Michigan Spark Grant Program for $647,000 for funding assistance for the Kirk Park renovation project.
Second.
Motion and support. You're up there.
Yep. So this is the state's ARPA funding, and it is their first opening to allow. There will be several other cycles of that. So we've utilized the Kirk Park project. We're expanding on a reconstruction we already have, as well as renovating all of the pavement there on site.
My favorite park. Any further discussion? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Holtfloor,
Yes.
Mr. Bauman,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you.
Regarding the item of Explorers Trail Bass River, I move to approve and authorize the board chairperson and clerk register to sign the agreement or one substantially similar as determined by the Parks Director with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources to construct, operate, and maintain portions of the Item Explorers Trail to Bass River State Park recreational area. Support.
There's a motion and support.
So this is an exciting step for us. We've been working with DNR for years now to define the route through Bass River. So they are 100% supportive. We've also asked them for 2.6 million in funding to help with the construction of that trail. So this helps us get moving forward with that and will allow us to work on the survey and apply for the application So the one small change, they do have some requirements about insurance. So I've worked with Corporation Counsel and we're working with DNR to make that small revision, so.
Questions, gentlemen? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thanks, Jason.
Regarding the Wayside Settlement Agreement, I move to approve and authorize the board chairperson and clerk register to sign the settlement agreement in the Wayside class action case on Raphael claims.
Second.
Any further questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Corporate counsel, I just had a quick question on the summary. It talks about folks who seeking their money will have 90 days to claim. On the actual agreement, it talks about 120 days. And then 5B talks about 2 years. What is the difference in those three numbers? Let's see.
Well, there's a settlement agreement and then the court has to approve it. So those are different timeframes for all of that to happen. Eventually, once Judge Maloney, the Sixth Circuit approves this settlement agreement. And this is the first step towards that, where the parties are saying, we actually want to resolve the matter that way. Then if the court approves after a period of time that it will give for others to object, then eventually a 90-day claims period will be provided. And during that period of time, anyone who believes they have excess an interest in the excess proceeds, and that can be the former property owners, it could be creditors. So if you had an interest in that property, there's some excess proceeds, you'll be able to file a claim and the claim will get resolved in the federal court claims process.
Okay. So when it says here, class members must submit a completed claims form to the claims administrator within 120 days. What does that 120 refer to? It's not obviously the same 90 that you just.
Well, it'll be after a notice goes out, which will be after Judge Maloney approves it.
Okay.
So there'll be a notice requirement that you're interested, and then you'll have, once you've perfected that interest, then you'll have to get your documentation in. There will also be an opportunity for others, like I said, who claim an interest, whether you're an heir and you believe someone's died. A lot of these people are no longer with us, and so they have heirs. So it's gotten very complicated. There'll be a period of time where the court will resolve it, and it'll have a claims period within the court process to dovetail on someone else's claim.
Okay.
So that's why there's multiple layers to this.
And then the 2 years, what does that refer to? Unclaimed after 2 years revert back to the county.
Yeah, if there's no final resolution, if people don't actually pursue it, the court will call it. One of the advantages is our 20th Circuit doesn't have to deal with all these competing claims. It'll be done through a federal court magistrate. If for some reason people stake out a claim and they provide evidence for it, but ultimately don't follow that process through, then the money would revert back to the delinquent tax fund. I will say this, that the Sixth Circuit invested 26 mediation sessions to fine tune this, which is, I'm sure Kevin can agree, that's an unprecedented amount of energy for a court system to invest in one case and in one resolution. And that's because these claims are driving state courts crazy, they're driving the federal courts crazy, and this will coordinate everything in one procedure, in one final claims process that'll hear everyone's interest in that excess process proceeds and will resolve them. And the great thing for Ottawa County
is we're out of it.
Mhm.
After it's approved by Judge Maloney, we'll wait to fund whatever result the magistrate court will tell us that claims been made. Here's the percentage, we fund it, otherwise it's over for us. So it brings finality, particularly to the county, and it enables anyone who has an interest in that excess proceeds to get notice. There'll be a plaintiff's, very active plaintiff's presence trying to get people to file those claims, because they only get paid if they get a legitimate claim all the way through. So they'll be working hard to do that. And I think everyone agrees this is the best way to resolve this.
And then just a follow-up question, the 3.5 million, that was identified as excess proceeds?
That's
What
the-
exactly does that number
That's the
mean?
maximum exposure that we've are looking at in our delinquent tax fund is potentially bound up.
Okay,
There are
so
many.
that's the upper bound of our liabilities, so you're saying?
Thanks for the explanation.
Sure.
Council.
As complicated as it is.
Any further questions? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink.
Yes.
Mr. Holtlor,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Regarding the purchasing card policy, second reading. I move to approve and revise the purchasing card policy for review and comment.
Motion and support. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Holtlor,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you.
Regarding the meal and travel policy, second reading, I move to approve the revised meal and the travel and meal policy for review and comment.
Support.
Motion and support. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Holtlor,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you.
Regarding the change orders for the Family Justice Center, second reading, I move to approve the proposed change orders for the Family Justice Center policy for review and comment.
Second.
The motion and a second. Any discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Holtlor,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes,
Motion passes.
Regarding the Grand Ravines Treehouse contract, construction contract, and this is my last motion, so I'm going to read this real slow, so bear with me. I move to approve and authorize the board chairperson and clerk register to sign the contract with Denny's Excavating in the amount of $279,895 for construction of the Grand Ravines Treehouse.
any discussion, gentlemen?
I just want to say that was well done.
Thank you.
Any questions?
One, just, did we have any expense into the previous contractor who was unable to do the work?
So we had engineering design work done. And then what we did with this is we did a purchase order for some of the site work to allow them to come in and start working on some of the trees. But yeah,
This is in the same area, same location.
it's the same park, different area. We revised the location and then worked on the design. So, yeah.
There's a guy on TV called Tree Masters or something. Did you contact him?
Well, this is a bit deceiving, so it'll be a nice, it'll be have a walkway out into the treetops. And so it's not quite a tree house, but
You're gonna have railings on that walkway, aren't you?
yeah.
Thanks, Jason. Will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Dannenberg.
Yeah.
Mr. Baumann.
Yes.
Mr. Bergman.
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink.
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia.
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung.
Yes.
Mr. Holtvluwer.
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra.
Yes.
Mr. Keiers.
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. From Finance and Administration, Commissioner Bauman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to the amended agreement for funding assistance for the Ottawa County or the Ottawa Conservation District, I make a motion to approve and authorize the board chairperson and clerk register to sign the amended agreement for funding assistance between Ottawa County and the Ottawa Conservation District.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Gentlemen, questions for Megan?
Keep up the good work.
Okay, I can do.
I think it's important to see the results on the return on investment that the county gets from the Ottawa Conservation. You might just comment on that.
Yeah, actually, I had put together a few things to say. So if you have a minute, I'd be happy to deliver those statistics for you.
We got a minute.
Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what the conservation and our unique, the conservation can do in our unique entity and what a unique entity we are. So the Conservation District is a really unique government entity. We can offer voluntary, nonpartisan, non-regulatory services on the ground for producers and for residents here in Ottawa County. We're able to be those boots on the ground, that technical assistance and cost share to residents and producers here in our county. I know I've spoken to all of you about your return on investment, but the county yields a percentage that hovers around 800% for the last 5 years on your return of investment from what you've put into the Conservation District. Let me give you just a few items to note. This year alone, we handed out close to $969,000, almost $1 million to agriculture producers to implement practices like cover crops, manure storage, windbreaks, prescribed grazing, and irrigation water management. Over 2/3 of that cost share came directly through shared projects that we have here within the county. We replaced 38 septic systems, providing over $40,000 in cost share to homeowners. We completed a watershed management plan for Pigeon River Watershed. We hosted or co-hosted over 42 outreach events. We have treated 24,931 hemlock trees for hemlock woolly adelgid. That's over 888 acres of treatment. Our strike team has also treated over 292 sites for aquatic and terrestrial invasive species. We acquired a new MDAR program this year. We now have a produce safety technician and can provide services for that program here in Ottawa County. I could go on with what we do. The district currently holds 26 grant contracts, and I employ 16 full-time equivalent employees. For those of you that are familiar with grants, these contracts offer a variety of services, tons of cost share, technical services, base wages for our technicians. But what they don't cover is administrative or operational costs, as well as benefits for my staff. This is where you come into play. I'm looking for a funding increase for 2 reasons. One, for employee retention. I know we all struggle with that, but I am in a very unique situation. I have talented, trained, and educated staff that can deliver trusted services within our community. I see a real potential to only grow those services with the staff I have. But in order to retain them, I need to provide them with some minimum benefits. I'm looking at a retirement plan and a very, very baseline healthcare plan. But I see a bright future. The second reason I'm asking for more funding is because there's a lot of money coming through the USDA and NRCS through the Inflation Reduction Act that is going to be specific to conservation. That can really benefit our community, both in agriculture and in forestry. We as a district, we're that funding source. We're the entity that they're gonna funnel that money through to deliver those services. I need to know I have the capacity and the staff to be able to go after that funding, to be able to provide these services here in the county.
So those are the reasons I'm asking for the funding increase. I'm asking for the extension because our current contract ends with you in 2023. I'm hoping that I can extend that contract to 2026. The reason I'm asking for this date specifically is because it coincides with our farmland water quality and quantity initiative. And that initiative, we partner directly here with the county. And that grant ends in September of 2026. I'd like to be able to deliver the quality of services that we do today throughout the life of that grant. And I'd like to be able to be secure in knowing where my funding's coming from each year in order to invest in benefits for my staff. Thank you for your consideration.
Any other questions for Megan? Well, thanks for the explanation. John, would you?
Mr. Chair, you'll see in the agenda packet, there are actually two amended agreements in there. One was the original agreement that the Conservation District and the county worked on. And I will say, I'll agree with what Megan said in terms of the partnership and the benefits the Conservation District provides. Absolutely, totally agree with that. The Conservation District had approached the county for some assistance with getting some legal advice and some HR, human resources services, because Megan's administrative staff, I think, is limited to Megan. And so the original agreement, which is the first one you see in there, basically would say the county will, on an as-needed basis, and to the extent that we can, provide HR services. So answer general HR questions, maybe do some job postings. And if she had a legal type question, she could contact our corporation counsel for that. And that's what, we agreed to that. That was the agenda. That was the agreement put on the agenda. The second one you see in there is just before the start of the Finance Committee meeting. They proposed a different amended agreement asking for $40,000 more contribution from the county to the Conservation District. Currently, we contribute $100,000. It was $40,000 a year all the way through 2019. And then we doubled it to $80,000 in 20 and 21. And then we upped it again to $100,000 in fiscal years 22 and the current fiscal year. If you recall, we did amend an agreement with them in April. I think the state was providing them with $40,000 of one-time money. And our agreement at the time said if they do get money like that, they had to return $40,000 to the county. We amended our agreement that said you don't have to return that. So we have shown a very significant and increasing commitment to the Conservation District, and that is fine. Here they're asking for $40,000 more. We obviously didn't budget that. And for an extension of the agreement, current agreement expires September 30th, 2023. They're asking for a 3-year extension of that. The Finance Committee met and indicated they would recommend a 3-year extension with a $20,000 increase. My recommendation is to approve the original amendment, which is to provide the HR and legal services. And then as we get closer to September, where we can then incorporate, if there is a recommendation to increase that contribution, we can incorporate into the budget because we have not budgeted for any increase this year for that.
So what is the motion that we have?
The motion that's sitting here right now is for $120,000 for 3 years, running it through 26.
That was the Finance Committee's recommendation.
That's what.
And that's 120 plus the 20 to assist in funding the activities. There's like 3 or 4 different contracts and I just want to know which one we're actually.
So Commissioner Zylstra, so the Conservation District request was 120,000 county investment plus 20,000 for groundwater for a total of 140.
Right.
The Finance Committee recommended 100,000 for county investment plus 20,000 for groundwater for a total of 120. Yes. And that would be a $20,000 increase over what we're currently budgeted for at this point.
So that's what the motion is that's before us now, I believe.
Right.
Inclusive of the HR assistance when needed.
Yep.
That's the motion on the table.
Support that.
Is there any further discussion on it? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Mr. Holtfloor.
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink.
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia.
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra.
Yes.
Mr. Bergman.
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg.
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung.
Yes.
Mr. Baumann.
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you.
Regarding the road commission agreement on custodial funds, I make a motion to approve and authorize the board chairperson and clerk register to sign the interlocal agreement with the road commission regarding the treasurer's custody of road commission funds in coordination of audit requirements.
Supported.
Hey, Amanda.
So again, this is a memorandum of understanding between the road commission, the treasurer's office, just to be clear that we invest and hold their investments in as a custodian for the road commission. Kind of a belts and suspenders document, because you pass a resolution at the beginning of the year to do something similar to this, but this is just a little bit extra language to that effect. And then also woven into this was some audit requirements for fiscal services that they asked for in this document as well.
Questions, discussion? For Amanda?
Invested anything into Bitcoin?
It is not legal tender of the United States. So the answer is no.
Any further questions, discussion, gentlemen? Thank you, Amanda. Will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bergman.
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra.
Yes.
Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia.
Yes.
Mr. Holtfloor.
Yes.
Mr. Baumann.
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung.
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink.
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra.
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you.
Regarding the OPEB advisory services, I make a motion to approve and authorize the board chairperson and clerk register to sign the OPEB advisory services agreement with Cap Trust.
Supported.
Madam Treasurer, once again.
Our current provider, Greenleaf Trust, has declined to continue to serve in this role. So we issued an RFP, received 7 responses, and the committee that looked over them chose Cap Trust. Feel very confident then in their ability to manage a OPEB trust. Any questions?
Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Baumann.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia.
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink.
Yes.
Mr. Holtfloor.
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung.
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra.
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra.
Yes.
Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Bergman.
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes,
Motion passes.
Regarding the credit card processing contract with Huntington, I make a motion to approve and authorize the board chairperson and clerk register to sign the contract for credit card processing with Huntington /Fiserv for equipment in the amount of $4,000 and software in the amount of $100 plus associated annual transaction fees as outlined in the request for proposal response and the merchant agreement, which is estimated to be $150,000, subject to the corporate counsel and treasurer's final approval.
Supported.
Just to remind you, this is we issued an RFP for a new credit card provider in this instance. This is for in-person credit card transactions. We have a different provider for online credit card transactions. So this would be the equipment that someone would come to a clerk's office and we would have a PIN pad and then they would transact their business with this new PIN pad. And just to remind you, it's in-person credit card transactions. I don't know if there's anything else, any other questions?
Curious, FOIA request, some of them they have to pay on if there's a number of pages. Am I correct on that? And how do they pay? For this system or for the other system?
I'm not sure.
People can pay FOIAs with check, cash. I don't know if they do credit card.
I would guess so, but I'm not sure Yeah. They can do that. Yes.
Where do they pick them up, the information?
Depends who's depends what type of information is being
Depends
requested.
what department.
Yeah.
And they would pick it up in that department.
Yeah, and sometimes if the request is big enough, we request a deposit for 50% of the cost of searching and compiling the records.
Okay,
And then we don't begin that search until they pay that 50% deposit.
okay, and they could do that either with check or a credit card, right? Okay, okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You call the roll, please.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Holtvluwer.
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes.
motion passes.
Regarding the Cisco Flex Phone licensing and server replacement, I make a motion to approve and authorize the board chairperson and clerk register to sign the 3-year licensing agreement, server replacement and 1-year extension of the master services agreement with Sentinel Technologies at a cost of $311,049.01.
Supported.
Questions? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes.
motion passes.
Regarding the CMH personnel request, I make a motion to approve the request from Community Mental Health to add 1 full-time equivalent, full-time benefited nurse practitioner position at pay grade 16 at a total cost of $137,690 paid for with CCBHC grant funds and Medicaid.
Supported.
Lynn, would you like to give a little brief summary of this?
Hi, everyone. So this is to replace a contract with a locum tenens, which is an agency that provides psychiatrists, nurses, that type of thing. So this is actually going to be more hours for us and very needed given the wait list that we have for those services.
The CCBHC, I'm not sure everybody knows what that necessarily stands for.
I wonder why. Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinics. It's a SAMHSA grant. So SAMHSA is a federal agency that grants dollars for social service, mental health type funding.
Questions for Lynn? Thanks.
Mhm.
Will you call a roll, please?
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you.
And regarding the CMH, second CMH personnel request, I make a motion to approve the request from Community Mental Health to add temporary non-benefited crisis support pooled positions at a total cost not to exceed $40,000 annually.
Second.
Lynn?
So this is to help staff our some of our difficult to find positions on our crisis team and children's mobile crisis. We're hoping to attract individuals who can help be on call to fill out that need.
Any questions for Lynn? Thank you. Will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes.
motion passes.
And finally, regarding the fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23 budget adjustments, I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 22 and the fiscal year 23 budget adjustments per the attached schedule.
Second.
So motion and a second. Discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Holt,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next appointments, and we have a bunch from Talent and Recruitment Committee. The Honorable Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wonder if I can just make a point of order here and maybe have a motion after this. We have 28 committees and boards that we will be appointing to. That might take a while. So one of the recommendations from our committee earlier is that we make one motion for all of the committee assignments where there are an equal number of applicants as number of seats on that particular board. So if that's okay with the board here, I'd like to maybe have Doug, you want to make the motion for that?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to bundle 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 9, 11, 13.
Slow down.
Sorry.
Down.
Rachel already has the numbers. I'll start again. Sorry about that. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 6, number 7, number 9, number 11, number 13, number 14, number 15, number 16, number 17, number 21, number 22, number 23, and number 24, number 25, and number 26. Did I get them all correct, Rachel?
Yes.
I'd like to bundle all those items into one motion and pass them at one time.
Support.
There's a motion and a support on the floor. Is there any further discussion on the bundling?
Great idea.
Yeah.
We call the roll, please, on that motion?
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Holt,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And I also want to take a couple of seconds and just thank, Commissioner Zylstra and Commissioner Terpstra and Commissioner Meppelink, who spend between 8 and 10 hours interviewing all of these candidates.
Good.
So I appreciate all the work that they put in there. I also want to thank all of the applicants who applied for, it's the largest number I've seen in my 6 years. I don't know about Bill, he's been here 22 years. But I want to thank all the applicants and those who may not have been assigned a committee. We ask that you continue to check our website and apply again. One other point though, before we proceed, we do have 2 committees where we've identified 4 candidates that we think that are highly qualified for only 2 slots in each one of those committees. So one of the things that we'll have to decide is, do we want a board majority for those who would be appointed, or just a simple majority? My recommendation is that it be a board majority, which means that each of those appointments would have to receive 6 votes at least. And if it comes to the point where we have maybe 3 that haven't met that, or 2, but that we continue to eliminate the lower number one and take a second vote until we hit that board majority.
We'll support that.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
So that was a motion, Rachel.
Oh.
You already had a.
You're not ready for another.
No.
Oh, okay, yeah, so we needed the first one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good. Thank you.
All right. Are you ready to roll?
Yes,
Okay.
Oh,
Did you vote?
well, we have to vote on those motions, right? On the.
We did, didn't we?
To bundle all of them, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, on that.
And there's
So do we need a motion for how we're going to achieve majority in case we have to?
No.
I don't think so.
No? Okay,
No.
then I'm fine with that. So then we will proceed to number 4. Regarding the community.
Do we want to, on the bundling, do we want to?
Vote on that.
I thought we did.
We did. We voted on the whole thing?
Yeah.
took it up that we voted to bundle them, and then we still gotta vote on them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the way I thought it was.
No, that makes sense. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so
Of course, it's gonna be my last meeting where I confuse everyone here.
You got a bundle.
Okay.
all right, so you voted to bundle and now you're voting on all of them as they are. Okay. Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Yes.
Mr. Bauman,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske.
Yes,
Motion passes.
All right. Can I go on, Mr. Chairman?
absolutely.
All right.
The non-bundles.
Yes, so the non-bundle group. Regarding the Community Action Agency Advisory Board, we'd like to place into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of Belma Rosa Hernandez and Tracy Nauda to select one to fill the private sector vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025.
Support. What number is that?
Or number 4.
Four, okay. There's a motion and a support. We want to do a voice vote on this.
Yeah, I think we need a voice. vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have to pick one.
So
Okay. Okay, Mr. Terpstra,
Belma.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Oh.
Mr. Zylstra,
Belma Hernandez.
Mr. Kyers,
Thelma Hernandez.
Mr. DeYoung,
Hernandez.
Mr. Meppelink,
Alma Hernandez.
Mr. Bauman,
Hernandez.
Mr. Bergman,
Alma,
Mr. Dannenberg,
Hernandez.
Mr. Garcia,
Belma Hernandez.
Mr. Fenske.
Hernandez.
Unanimous for Balma Rosa Hernandez.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 5, regarding the Community Action Agency Advisory Board, I'd like to place into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of Danielle Weeks and Beth Durkee to fill one public sector vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025.
Support. So motion and support on the floor. Any discussion? Let's do the voice vote.
Mr. Kyers,
Daniel Weeks.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Daniel Weeks.
Mr. Garcia,
Danielle Weeks.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Weeks.
Mr. DeYoung,
Weeks.
Mr. Zylstra,
Danielle Weeks.
Mr. Terpstra,
Danielle.
Mr. Meppelink,
Danielle Weeks.
Mr. Bauman,
Weeks.
Mr. Bergman,
Weeks,
Mr. Fenske.
Daniel Weeks.
That's 11 for Danielle Weeks.
Okay,
Thank you.
item number 8, regarding Community Corrections Advisory Board, I'd like to place into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of Linda Hoffman and Susan Dowdy to select one to fill one general public vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2024.
Support. There's a motion and support. There's no more discussion. Will you call the voice vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Garcia,
Linda Hoffman.
Mr. Bergman,
Hoffman,
Mr. Zylstra,
Linda Hoffman.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Haveman.
Mr. Terpstra,
Linda.
Mr. Meppelink,
Linda Hoffman.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Hoffman.
Mr. Bauman,
Hoffman.
Mr. Kyers,
Linda Hobman.
Mr. DeYoung,
Linda Hoffman.
Mr. Fenske.
Linda Hoffman.
11 for Linda Hoffman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Regarding number 10, Community Mental Health Board, I'd like to place into nomination the names and forward it to the board, the names of Christian Klingjans, Julie Tollek, Heather Toppin, Stephen Rockman, Kyle Parcher, to select one to fill the general vacancy beginning immediately and ending December 31st, 2025.
Support. Motion is support. Any further discussion? Will you call the voice vote, please?
Mr. Dannenberg,
Klingons.
Mr. Bauman,
Klingons.
Mr. Bergman,
Kleinhans,
Mr. Meppelink,
Christian Clengen.
Mr. Terpstra,
Christian.
Mr. Garcia,
Christian Klingjans.
Mr. DeYoung,
Christian Clenyans.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Christian.
Mr. Zylstra,
Christian Kleingens.
Mr. Kyers,
Christian Clegent.
Mr. Fenske.
Christian Clengens.
11 for Christian Kleingens.
Thank you. Number 12, regarding the Department of Health and Human Services Board to place into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of Barbara Van Horsen, Belma Rosa Hernandez, Caden Hembro, Julie Tulloch, Heather Toppin, Heidi Parsher, and Tracy Nada to select one and to fill the county resident vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025.
Support. Motion is support. There's no discussion. You'll call the voice vote, please.
Mr. Kyers,
Barbara Van Horsen.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Van Horsen.
Mr. Meppelink,
Barbara Van Horsen.
Mr. Terpstra,
Barbara.
Mr. Garcia,
Barbara Van Horsen.
Mr. Zylstra,
Barbara Van Horsen.
Mr. Bergman,
Van Horsen.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Van Horsen.
Mr. DeYoung,
Barbara Van Horsen.
Mr. Baumann,
Van Horsen.
Mr. Fenske.
Van Horsen.
11 votes for Barbara Van Horsen.
Thank you. Regarding number 18, Ottawa County Housing Commission to place into nomination the names and forward to the Board of Commissioners, Thomas Riensma, Joseph Alfonso, Caden Hembro, Randy Cordering, Larry Jackson, Stephen Johnson, Tracy Nada, and Jordan Jortsema to select one to fill the member vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2027.
Second.
A motion and a second. Will you call the roll call?
Mr. Zylstra,
Thomas Riensma.
Mr. Bergman,
Reisma.
Mr. Baumann,
Riensma.
Mr. Kyers,
Thomas Riensma.
Mr. Garcia,
Thomas Riensma.
Mr. Meppelink,
Thomas Riensma.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Riensma.
Mr. DeYoung,
Thomas Riensma.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Riensma.
Mr. Terpstra,
Thomas.
and Mr. Fenske.
Riensma.
That's 11 for Thomas Riensma.
Thank you. Number 19, regarding Parks and Recreation, to place into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of Linda McCaffrey, Jane Longstreet, Caden Hembro, Joseph Sherwoski, Nathan Hoekstra, Michael Kramer, Jeffrey Westendorp, Jordan Jortsema, Michael Van Water, and James Kober to fill 2 public vacancies beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025.
Board. Mr.
It's a
Chair.
motion. and support.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Commissioner Garcia said at the beginning. You know, we've had a lot of great applicants for a lot of these boards and commissions, and especially on Parks and Recreation. And I just want to highlight that, you know, Ms. McCaffrey and Ms. Longstreet have done a great job. That's why the subcommittee has recommended them. We've had great candidates all the way through, so. And the same thing as Commissioner Garcia recommended, if folks are not chosen today, we urge them to, you know, keep looking for opportunities in the county, so.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? You call the voice vote, please.
Mr. Baumann,
McCaffrey and Longstreet.
Mr. Garcia,
McCaffrey and Longstreet.
Mr. Meppelink,
Linda McCaffrey, Jane Longstreet.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
McCaffrey, Longstreet.
Mr. DeYoung,
McCaffrey and Longstreet.
Mr. Zylstra,
Linda McCaffrey and Jane Longstreet.
Mr. Terpstra,
Linda, Jane.
Mr. Kyers,
Linda McCaffrey and Jane Longstreet.
Mr. Dannenberg,
McCafferty and Longstreet.
Mr. Bergman,
McCaffrey and Longstreet.
Mr. Fenske.
McCaffrey and Longstreet.
11 for Linda McCaffrey and 11 for Jane Longstreet.
Thank you. Regarding number 20, I'm going to recuse myself for obvious reasons. I'm going to pass this over to Vice Chair of the committee, Mr. Meppelink.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. I would like to address item 20 here and place a motion to place into nomination the following names to the Board of Commissioners. We have John Schwam, John Field Reichart, Francisco Garcia, Arlen Meekoff, Mark Gleason, Hayden Hembro, Kevin Purdy, David Morin, Robert Mishili, Rebecca Baker, and John Rice. And we need to select 2 to fill 2 member vacancies beginning January 1, 2023 and ending December 31, 2028.
Is The motion and support. Is there any further discussion before we call the voice vote? Seeing none, will you call the voice vote, please?
Mr. Terpstra,
John Schwam, Arlen Meekoff.
Mr. Holflord,
Schwab, Rickard.
Mr. Zylstra,
Schwam, Reichart.
Mr. Kyers,
Reichart and Garcia.
Mr. DeYoung,
Reichart and Garcia.
Mr. Meppeling,
Reichart and Meekoff.
Mr. Gallman,
Reichart and Garcia.
Mr. Bergman,
Reichart, Garcia.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Reichart and Garcia.
Mr. Garcia.
I'm going to.
He recused himself.
Okay. Sorry. And Mr. Fenske.
Reichart and Garcia.
So I have 9 for Reichart, 6 for Garcia, and then 3 for Schwam and 2 for Meekoff. So it's going to be Reichart and Garcia.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Frank.
I'm sorry.
I said, congratulations,
Oh.
Frank.
Thank you. I'll talk to the ones who did. No. Regarding number 27, I believe. Yes, 27. Regarding the Veterans Affairs Committee. I'd like to place to nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of David Ziegler, Nick Nebel, Joseph Alfonso, and Larry Jackson. I just want to explain why we added Dave Ziegler and Nick at later. But these are current members of that committee already, and because of mix up in the process, we didn't have an opportunity yet to actually speak with them, but they've been on the board before. So out of those two, to select 2 and fill 2 to the war veteran vacancies beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025.
Support.
Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a subsequent motion to that. I know we have 4 recommended candidates for 2 spots. We did get a chance to interview Mr. Alfonso and Mr. Jackson, and we obviously did like them. Mr. Ziegler and Mr. Neville, I understand they're on the committee as it stands. I'd like to make a motion to have filled 2 war veteran vacancies beginning January 1, 23 to December 31, 25, with a possibility of adding 2 more if our statutory guidelines allow it. Right now, it is currently a 5-member board or a 7-member board, John?
It's a 5-member board. Doug looked up the state statute that says you can have a committee of anywhere from 3 to 7 veterans.
Okay, so and then like they just amend that motion to increase the size of the board to 7 and include all 4.
Okay, there's
Support
that. There's amended motion on the floor and there's support. Any further discussion on the amended?
Yeah, I think that Mr. Alfonso, Mr. Jackson had a lot of diversity, a lot of diverse background to the committee. I don't know Mr. Ziegler, Mr. Neville. I'm sure they're doing a great job. Having, 2 new members in addition to 2 existing members, I think will give the board, freshness as well as stability.
Your motion is to increase the board and support all 4.
Yeah, well, increases and, yep, for sure.
I guess I would like to ask Doug or John as to what would be the process to increase the number.
Well, I think just on one thing, the state statute allows it to go to 7, but it does require staggered terms to start off so that you have no more than two committee members that would go off at the same time. So just as a suggestion for Mr. Alfonso and Mr. Jackson, you could have their terms end at the end of 23. And Mr. Ziegler and Mr. Neville's terms could end at the end of 25.
That seems fair to me,
That's
for sure.
Yep.
That seems very fair.
Yeah.
Want to make that part of the motion?
I'd like to amend the motion to increase the size of the Veteran Affairs Committee to 7. accept all four recommended nominees and make Mr. Alfonso and Mr. Jackson their term ending at the end of 23 with obviously the possibility to renew.
Right.
Is that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a motion and a second to the amended.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Will you call the roll on that motion, please?
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Holtfloor.
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra.
Yes.
Mr. Keier,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, and my final motion. Regarding number 28, the West Michigan Regional Planning Commission. To place into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of Rebecca Hobb, Mark Southwell, Jared Scudema, Caden Hembrough, Rebecca Baker, Kevin Gritty, Joseph Pierce, Gregory Bales, Kenneth Brune, to select one private sector vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2023.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the Regional Planning Commission nominations? Seeing none, will you call the voice vote, please?
Mr. Terpstra,
Up.
Mr. Holtfloor,
Up.
Mr. Zylstra,
Rebecca Hop.
Mr. Keiers,
Rebecca Hop.
Mr. DeYoung,
Rebecca Hop.
Mr. Meppelink,
Rebecca Hoff.
Mr. Baumann,
Hop.
Mr. Bergman,
Up.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Up.
Mr. Garcia,
Rebecca Hobb.
Mr. Fenske,
Rebecca Hop.
11 votes for Rebecca Hop.
Thank you. Under discussion items, Commissioner Keiers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In closed session to discuss union negotiations, the motion is to go into closed session for the purpose of strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement pursuant to OMA Section 8C.
Support. Motion is support. This is a 2/3 roll call vote required.
Mr. Keiers.
Yes.
Mr. Holtfloor.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you. Right back there. Yeah. session, so we'll need a motion for the ratification of the contract for the juvenile unit.
So moved. Support.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Dannenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Baumann,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Holtlower,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Fenske,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you. Report from the county administrator, Mr. Shea.
I'll keep this real brief. Obviously, we don't have a meeting over Christmas. Construction is still proceeding along well with the Family Justice Center. And really just lastly, I just want to, for the outgoing commissioners, I just want to express my thanks. It's been a real pleasure and privilege to work with you and to serve you as the county, and really appreciate all the support that you've given to us and the employees, and really appreciate your dedication to the citizens of Ottawa County. So I just again express my heartfelt gratitude for your service, and it's just been a privilege working with you.
Here, here.
Thank you. Next is our general information, comments, and meetings attended. So if anybody wants to speak to that before we get to Commissioner parting remarks.
I had my, I had my 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, we had our NACO board in Chicago. Because our president is from Chicago, so wherever your president's from, that's where you go. And it was very informative, and they talked more about broadband, 42.4 billion coming down the pipeline, and I talked to Paul, and he's on top of it. So that's going to be huge for all the counties, and I think we're doing a good job of looking forward to broadband, and it's good we can have a guy like that on the NACO board. I mean, he's a strategic person on the broadband. He's the only one that's not a commissioner, and so that's pretty cool. We got somebody from our county that's representing us there. They took us to a bunch of tours, and we looked at all the new electrical buses coming out, and we went to some storage places that were absolutely amazing. So had a good time with all my fellow friends down there and got some more good information. So good to be on the NACO board. I hope some of you go forward and work on that. It's important for West Michigan and for the county. So.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I know everyone's going to give their parting remarks, but I just want to say thank you to all the colleagues who are leaving. I've learned something from each one of you. I also, especially to Mr. DeYoung, Commissioner DeYoung. When my first race, one of my first texts was from him, and I think we went to Rainbow Grill a couple days after I won in. I really appreciate all his work with me, and as well as the chairs, Chair Fenske and Chair Bergman. So thank you.
Anything else on meetings attended or general information? Okay, we'll go right into Commissioner parting remarks.
I will start. I want to thank God for letting me serve on this board for 10 years. I feel very honored and privileged to have served Ottawa County as its District 4 Commissioner. I feel very good about the way I'm leaving the county running so well. I have met a lot of great people, and as I have served on this board, some have come to be very good friends. Love them like brothers. Most of us will agree that this opportunity was made easier with the help of the wonderful and hardworking staff and employees. Just a few of our accomplishments in the last 10 years. The mental health millage takes in 3.5 million and estimates to leverage 3 million more to use. We were the first county to do that, and now there are 6 counties with a mental health millage. We have consistently been number 1 or 2 in the state as the healthiest county per the public health department. Even with all the services we offer, we are still the 6th lowest county in the state for millage. We implemented the DEI as a department of the county. This shows the citizens of the county that everyone is welcome, not just white Christians. According to the last county survey, the citizens stated that they feel very safe in Ottawa County. I hope and pray that the new commissioners will work as hard as we did for all the people of the county. We have set the bar for them to follow. Thank you.
Other commissioners?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Remember, there's a 3-minute, start the timer.
We're in no hurry here today.
You get 3 minutes for every year
Yeah.
you participated.
And don't make me too nervous. I had a double bean burrito for lunch, so give me a little grace here.
Watch out, man.
Commissioners, we've had an amazing run together. You worked with respect for each other, not always agreeing on everything, but always leaving in unity. I'm proud to call you not only my friend, but like Al said, my brothers. I have fond memories of each of you, and here are just a couple. Commissioner Dannenberg, you are crazy, and I love you for it. You always bring a smile with your witty personality. Commissioner Garcia, I remember the day that you and I met for a cup of coffee. And I just liked you from the day we met, the stories you told on how hard you worked to get to where you're at today. And you going to the University of Michigan with still dirt underneath your fingernails. I remember that, my friend, and look where you are today. Commissioner Zasper, you are right about our conversation at the Rainbow Grill. I spent a lot of time at the Rainbow Grill. My wife thinks I work there. We had some good conversations at the Rainbow Grill and shared our visions together. And we agreed, because you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, that we would never talk about that. That we would always talk about what can we do best for Ottawa County, and we did. Commissioner Kyers, I've never told you this, but you are an inspiration to me. Years and years ago, the new courthouse was dedicated in Grand Haven, and I had to stand way on the bottom steps. You were halfway up dedicating the new courthouse, and you were the chairperson at that time. And I looked at you and I said, someday I would like to have that job. You inspired me, Phil, to run for the county offices here, and I just want to share that with you. Commissioner Fenske, your leadership this year was amazing, amazing. I've had many chances to call you and tell you how you just brought this board to the new level. I'm very proud of the work you did and to call you my friend. Commissioners Holfler, Bauman, Meppling, Bergman, you have all influenced this board in my life, and I thank you for that. Commissioners, you've heard me talk at different times about making a difference in people's lives, and together we did that. Early on, we stood together and drew a line in the sand when some atheist groups wanted us to remove the Hager Park sign. Many of you remember that biblical sign. We drew a line in the sand. We stood strong for Ottawa County values. That, for me, that was one of my best days ever. I left here, walked out the parking lot. I called my girlfriend, who's also my bride. I said, Pam, we really made a difference for the people of Ottawa County today. Best day ever. Recently, you blessed the county employees with a check to offset high inflation we are experiencing. We have some of the finest employees in the state working here for Ottawa County, and we are proud of them. Lastly, after months of committee meetings, along with input from residents, we allocated over $34 million to organizations throughout the county to continue to make Ottawa County a place where you belong. We leave the county in a good place, but let's be honest on where credit is due. Before COVID, we were the healthiest county out of 83 in Michigan. We were the 6th lowest county in millage and have an outstanding credit rating and a balanced budget due to the work of Karen and her staff. Thank you, Karen. Our Parks Department is the envy of many parks throughout the state. Thank you, Jason, and everyone associated with parks. We are proud of the dedication of men and women of the Ottawa County Sheriff's Department keeping us safe. Thank you, Sheriff Kemker, and Under Sheriff Val Weiss. and your entire organization. Lynn, Robin, Marcy, Amanda, Paul, Justin, Joe, and all department heads, thank you for all you do and your leadership. John Shea, you have worked hard for the residents of Ottawa County and helped mold us who we are today. Thank you for that. The staff in your office has been priceless. Doug, you've always put us in the right direction. You've always taken our calls, and we really appreciate you. Now, commissioners, really, let's thank those who made us today what we are. Let's thank the men and women of the Ottawa County who work here for Ottawa County. Thank you, guys. Now, going forward, I could easily say goodbye, but I won't. I'm leaving today saying, I'll see you soon. Merry Christmas, and may God continue to bless Ottawa County. Thank you.
Commissioner Methel.
That's a tough one to follow.
Yeah.
But
Say ditto.
you did really good, yes. I want to thank, first of all, I want to thank each of the commissioners. Yeah, I enjoyed working with you, okay? As Greg said, we didn't always agree, but you know, one thing that I always enjoyed is that even if when we didn't agree, we agreed that we were colleagues, we were friends, and we continue to work for the citizens of Ottawa County. And thank you, and you guys all have a special place in my heart. And same with the staff for Ottawa County, the employees, everyone. If ever I had a need or a call to make, there was always very helpful. Thank you. John, thank you. You and Al, when I first came on the board, were real, you were really helpful in because I had a lot of questions and some of them were crazy. Doug, same thing. Okay. You always took my call like Greg said. I appreciate that. I do want to call out and just thank someone publicly that I really needed to thank 29 years ago. He's in here, and that's our sheriff. And 29 years ago, he was a deputy for Ottawa County Sheriff's Department. And I was in a car accident. And I'm sure if you talk to Steve, he will tell you him and the fire chief at the time was probably one that they still remember. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the sheriff that night on December 21, 29 years ago. And so for the man who thanks other people all the time, I want to thank you, Steve. Thank you. Okay. And I appreciate that. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him and wouldn't be able to do that. So I will still be around. I'm still living in Ottawa County and I'm still going to be here. So I just thank you, everybody, and Merry Christmas to all the people in Ottawa County.
Frank?
Yeah, I'm gonna follow my first chairperson. You know, I want to start out by also thanking our staff, Karen, Steve, John, and all the other ones who are soft-spoken when they speak, but they speak with authority and they speak with knowledge. So thank you. And then I call him our bulldog in the court, Doug here. So I thank him. But, you know, I wanted to address the 8 board members who are leaving. 90 years combined of experience and knowledge will be walking out of this facility. 90 years. That is tremendous. One of my hobbies besides golf is reading. And I especially like to read historical books on people who have had a positive impact on our nation, our country, and our world. So I want to read something because I'm not as eloquent as some of the folks in front of me. In my favorite poem from Theodore Roosevelt. We've had some tough times, actually. You know, we've had the commissioner, Bergman, Bergman, I already forgot your name. You took us to 2 events during my 6 years that were not popular all the time among some of our residents. And I thank you for having the courage and the strength to be able to do that. So my poem is from Theodore Roosevelt. It's called The Man in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts, nor the man who points how the strong man stumbled, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows the triumph of a high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither the victory or the defeat. You have been the men in the arena, a combination of 90 years. You know, I recently read a book, and I'm a believer that I can learn from everyone something. Everybody's better at something that I'm not. One of my poems that one of the quotes I recently read in President Obama's book, he said that rare is the person who enters politics and comes out with their soul intact. And I believe that. We see that today. We see that at the state level. We see that at the federal level. But I'm standing before you to say that I believe that all of us who are walking out today are walking out with our souls intact. Because every morning we were able to see ourselves in the mirror and know that we did our best for all of Ottawa County, not just those who look like us or speak like us or are legally here or not, but we did it for everyone. And I don't want you to take this in a negative way. But another book that I've read that many of you read as well is the Bible. And my favorite verse, which actually it pops up on my watch at 8 o'clock every morning, is Micah 6:8. And I was going to hope that at least one of the 8 new incoming commissioners would have been here today. But none. These are the people who ran on freedom, family, and faith. So Micah 6:8 starts with the question of, what does God require of us? And in 11 simple words, the answer is just 11 words. And those are to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly before your God. So with that, I also thank my commissioners. You've been an inspiration. We don't always agree. We saw that earlier today. We always walk out as friends. So thank all of our staff, who I believe is an excellent staff. Thank you.
I was gonna read mine later,
Okay,
but go ahead.
I really don't have much words when I talk, and I love the county, love the people here. Made lots and lots of friends. Very, very passionate about the parks, because I see how healthy it can make people. How it can help their minds, get rid of depression. So I've been a hard parks pusher all my life. One of my passions. I'd like to thank a couple of my mentors. Denny Swartout. He was here before, and Roger Reisinger has now passed away, but they made me a good commissioner. And always told me, this is who you are. When you came in, this is how you govern, and that's what I did. So thank you very much.
I have a few comments. You want to go on?
Yeah, I don't have anything written down, so
Okay,
I,
or you forget it, right?
yeah. As Al said, I consider you guys all as brothers, not as fellow commissioners. Greg and I have been here for 12 years. We came on together. We've had a few tough times. We're part of the brotherhood, and I am going to walk out the door holding my head high because I truly feel that I have, as well as the majority of the board, has done what was best for the citizens of Ottawa County. And I truly believe that. And I think we have nothing to be ashamed about. And I also would like to thank all of the staff. Came in 12 years ago, didn't know many of them. And today I consider most of them, if not all of them, friends. So thank you for everything that you've given us as advice and guidance, and I'm going to miss it. And but we'll Zoom it every once in a while or something and just see what's going on. So thank you much to everybody.
I was going to read this later because as most of you are aware, there's something waiting for us in another room. But I think I'll read this now. 10 years ago, Matt Fenske, Al Dannenberg, and I joined the long list of men and women who have served Ottawa County as county commissioners. We've been taught along the way by guys like Stu Visser, Don Dizzacone, Keith Van Beek, Greg Rapley, and also our former clerk, Dan Krieger. Then there was Misty, who kept us all up to date with the latest gear and gossip, along with the two Shannons. And today we've got people like John Shea and Regina and Stephanie keeping us on course, getting us to the right meeting on the right date and the right time. And of course, who could forget Al Vanderberg and his help along the way, especially when I was chair. I remember meeting with him often just to make sure that what I was doing was right and correct. And he gave me some very good advice. These folks helped steer us in the right direction, and usually were available if we had any questions. Well, almost all of us are leaving, and almost all of you are leaving, me and Doug, to try to train the new incumbents. Speaking for myself, I'm going to miss your wisdom and ability to get things done for the good of the whole of Ottawa County. So I want to offer thanks to Jim Holtvluwer, Matt Fenske, and Al Dannenberg for their steady hands in leading in the area of the county health and wellness for many years. Phil Kyers, Joe Bauman, Greg DeYoung, and Matt Fenske, and showing awesome leadership as chair of the commissioners, as well as in the area of finances. Phil and Greg in the leadership on the Parks Board. I could go on, but I'd rather talk about the friendships that I've made over the years. That's what I'm really going to miss. Matt, Phil, Al, Frank, Joe, Greg, Jim, and Randy. I'm going to miss you guys. Especially the jokester of the group, Greg. Before we leave today, he's probably going to ask us for a group hug. Thanks for coming. This is our last official day as a group. Hopefully some of you will stop by in the new year to see how Doug and I are getting on. Thanks.
Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each of my fellow commissioners for their years of dedicated service to Ottawa County. Frank, your experience and leadership in the field of education, from teacher to principal to superintendent, provided this board with specific expertise in that field. Thanks for your 6 years of commissioner on this board. Joe, thank you for your past experience as board chair and the current chair of the Finance and Administration Committee. You are always level-headed and always supportive of board decisions. I appreciate your engagement and high level of trust. Thank you for serving as Board of Commissioner for 12 years. Doug, you represent the city of Holland throughout the community with dedication and excellence. Your perspective for human service and the underserved is well recognized as a county commissioner for your past 4 years. Al, thank you for your role as vice chair this past year. We've collaborated almost daily on our morning phone conversations, besides finding out what the weather device on your roof has to say for the day. It was valued and appreciated. Your very active role in the community has served the residents in your district for the 10 years as commissioner. Well done. Randy, your backstory is a life of community service. As a Navy serviceman, a retired firefighter, County Marine Reserve Patrol, Township Trustee, Township Clerk, County Commissioner, that is a life of service. Ottawa County has benefited from your years of knowledge and experience as a servant leader. Thank you. Jim, your past leadership as Township Trustee and Township Supervisor left a lasting legacy for the residents in one of the largest townships in the entire county. In addition, your business leadership that you brought to the county commissioner role has been invaluable. Thank you. And thanks for your business, because I'm wearing a Jurgens and Hopler outfit.
Me too, me too.
Me too. Greg, thank you for your 3 years as board chair. Your active participation in the community is widely known. And weren't you voted, Mr. Allendale?
I'm not sure.
You are a dedicated servant leader, and I thank you for our friendship. Your role as a county commissioner for 12 years has supported safety in our community and has expanded the knowledge of government at GVSU, always taking care of that school in your district. Phil, you are the grandfather of the board.
Okay.
Serving 22 years as county commissioner, your historical perspective of Ottawa County has proven invaluable to the commission. This knowledge and experience led you to become past board chair. Your 40 years of farming and your role as president of the Ottawa County Farm Bureau escalated the county's position as one of the top 3 agricultural producers in the state of Michigan. In addition, you spent extra time and energy to be elected as president of the Michigan Association of Counties, which represents 83 counties in this state. You also represented the state of Michigan in Washington, D.C. for the National Association of Counties. This is a true honor and remarkable accomplishment to represent Ottawa County at this level. Roger, your commitment to the city of Grand Haven in Ottawa County runs long and deep. Your role as a city council member for 8 years as the mayor of Grand Haven is held in high regard. Your big heart resonates within the community as a past business owner and now as county commissioner. You always look for the best in people, and our weekly fitness goals inspire me. How many steps do you have? Thank you for your commitment as past board chair and keep those steps moving. And finally, I want to thank the staff. That's probably the most significant, for me is just those people that just are behind the scenes and all their expertise and direction that they give commissioners. I've grown to know each one of you, and it's really hard after having been in an organization before, leaving that organization, starting another life in another part, another chapter, and now leaving this particular chapter. It's just an enormous amount of love and affection and just a good feeling. The staff here in Ottawa County is second to none. They just keep plugging away. And I looked on my phone today and I start planning a vacation in January and there's nothing there. There's wow, there's bowling on Wednesday. So, but I still got 4 or 5 meetings left, and it's just that's the hardest thing, is just finishing up each one of those meetings and not seeing those folks anymore. So I really appreciate all the effort that this staff has done. So. Next, next is our second opportunity for public comment.
We do have a couple signed up. First is Daniela Garcia.
Welcome, Daniela.
Thank you. Please don't buzz me. I'm usually an aggressive speaker, not an emotional one. But looking around the room today, everybody's a little bit emotional. So Daniela Garcia, resident of Holland, constituent of Commissioner Zylstra. I just want to say thank you, Chair Fenske and the board, for allowing all of us to be here today and share this last meeting with you. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the outgoing commissioners for their combined 90 years of service. You can tell my dad and I talk like multiple times a day. To the residents of Ottawa County. You have worked to ensure that our county is well respected in the state, took your fiduciary responsibility seriously, and looked out for the well-being of all of our residents. It was a pleasure working with you when I was in the state legislature. You are always willing to have a conversation, meet for a cup of coffee. I remember Frank's, me and you, Al, and to educate me on the concerns and the opportunities here in Ottawa County for our residents. On a personal level, I've appreciated your guidance, your encouragement, your friendship. Ooh, and to my dad. Ooh, okay, I care about the county, as you guys can tell. Thank you for being a daily example of what a dedicated and passionate leader looks like. You've been an inspiration to me and Damian. Tomorrow morning, you are going to look in the mirror at yourself, knowing that you served with dignity, compassion, and an inquisitive spirit, which I'm sure I got from you. And a responsibility to do what's right for every resident of Ottawa County. Mom, Damian, and I are proud of you. To the commissioners who remain on the board, Doug and Roger, I wish you the best of luck. And please continue to work on on behalf of all residents of Ottawa County, because everyone belongs here. And to the incoming commissioners, all I can say is getting elected is easy and governing is hard. So thank you very much for your service, for your dedication to the residents of Ottawa County. Happy holidays and Feliz Navidad. Thank you.
And then we have Kevin Bowling.
Good afternoon, commissioners.
I couldn't let this meeting pass without taking an opportunity to personally thank all of you. I had the opportunity to work with many of you for years and years and years as an employee here and as a resident, a citizen of Ottawa County. Also happy to have known you and known the way that you have approached your work as commissioners and the type of governance you brought to this county. In my professional life, I've had an opportunity to work across the state and across the nation. And I can tell you that I've never seen the kind of spirit of collaboration that I've experienced here in a professional sense. And as it's been said many times already today, we didn't always agree on everything. There were a lot of projects and issues and personnel items that we might have crossed swords on over the years. But at the same time, it was always clear that you approached your work in a professional manner. You did it with integrity. You did it with that spirit of collaboration and a willingness to communicate openly with all of us, which is why I think Ottawa County stands head and shoulders above many other counties around the state of Michigan and around the nation. And I just wanted to take that opportunity to personally thank you for all of your efforts and with many of you for the relationships and friendships we've built over the years. I wish you all the best in whatever comes next and hope to see you around the community. And just because I knew you'd be disappointed if I didn't take more than 3 minutes, I think the sheriff offered to let me use his time as well, since he's usually taking my time. But we just want you to know that the time and effort that you put in over the years is really appreciated. 90 years may seem like a lot, but it probably doesn't begin to describe the effort that it takes to prepare for everything that you've done and all of the issues that you've worked on, all of the people you've represented, all of the projects you've helped either start and complete or have sort of kicked along and now they're going. So thank you for all of that. And for those of you that are going to be staying on the board, good luck. And we'll be around to urge you along as you move forward. So hopefully you'll have a lot of successes there as well. Thank you again.
I don't have anyone else on
Okay,
that signed up.
anybody else would like to?
I think we got 2 more, Rachel. Ma'am, did you want to also speak?
Don't look at me like that.
Hi, my name is Pam DeYoung. And over the years that Greg has been a commissioner, I have gotten to know many, if not all of you. I've also gotten to know many of the staff who have been absolutely phenomenal. They've handled difficult issues with grace and thought. And this group of gentlemen has done the same thing for a very long time. They have given a voice to the voiceless. They have hired a DEI director, which I thought was probably one of the best things that they've done recently to give that voice to the voiceless. Everyone on this board has different gifts and different talents, but all of you have been able to get together and use those talents and those gifts for the betterment of Ottawa County. And I thank you for that. And John and Doug as well. Faith, family, and freedom is a slogan. It's easy to have a slogan. It's a lot harder to live up to that. And it's my hope that the gentlemen that are here for the next group will consider the voiceless and offer those freedoms to the voiceless as well as the loud. Christ offered a voice to the voiceless, and thank God that he did. I want to thank all of you, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday.
Hi. I'm here to support the health department.
Well, wait a minute, that's my usual. I've always been here for more than that, but that came up and kind of surprised me while I was watching you for the last year and a half. It probably surprised you a lot as well. The 90 years of experience that is leaving, I hope you'll take my calls because I'm going to continue to try to positively engage with the new board. And of all those with the 90 years of experience, I hope you'll take my call. And if not that, if we can get the new board, the new commissioners to have the curiosity, I hope you'll take their call. And if you don't, well, and if you just see something that needs to be spoken about, I hope you'll join me in the audience here and don't wait for somebody to call if you see something that needs to be addressed. So thank you for what you've done, but don't think we're letting you off the hook entirely.
Anybody else for public comment?
We do have somebody online. Lene, if you're able to speak now.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Lene Monera, Allendale. Commissioners, I made public comment repeatedly over the last 2.5 years. And for this being the last meeting for many of you, I just have a few final thoughts. First, I want to thank you all for your years of service. Despite the past 2.5 years where we disagreed on a lot of things, I am sure many of you have made many positive contributions to this county. But my hope for you is that someday you realize why Ottawa County residents voted for new leadership this past August. It wasn't because we are all extremists. It was because you failed to stand in the gap between us and crushing government overreach. I read part of the Republican party platform at a meeting probably last year, but it bears repeating. I quote, American values. We are the party of independent individuals and the institutions they create together, families, schools, congregations, neighborhoods, to advance their ideals and make real their dreams. Those institutions standing between the citizen and the power of government are the pillars of a free society. They create spaces where the power of government should not intrude. End of quote. Commissioners, those spaces are near and dear to many of us. And with all due respect, you failed to protect those spaces. Some of you, and you know who you are, went as far as to jump on the bandwagon of demonizing us by speaking at forums like the Vote Common Good Forum. In the process, you sadly demonized your friends, your neighbors, your fellow churchgoers, and even some of your own family members. So in parting, I again thank you for your years of service. We do not diminish that. And I think I speak for many Ottawa County residents when I ask that moving forward, you act with integrity and you don't attempt to undermine the efforts of the new board, which the overwhelming majority of Ottawa County residents voted for. Family, faith, and freedom is not just a slogan. It's an integral part of the Republican Party platform. So we respectfully ask that if you ever run for elected office again, at the very least, be honest. And if you have not changed, please do not run with an R behind your names. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, any further public comment? If not, last time, we stand adjourned.